Hello everybody, Sean here, and we are looking at the Wanderer's Palace, one of the later game dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. And it is a long one, so you can see we've sped it up quite a bit. And this dungeon, quite popular, one because it is sought after for the farming, but two because it has the adorable tunberries in it. And the tunberries, you don't have to worry about the normal tunberries. They do not have any crazy powerful attack like a typical tunberry would in the other numerical Final Fantasies. However, you do need to beware of the giant tunberry. You can see him in the background right now. He's walking towards us slowly. You will gain hate on him. He will chase you down, poke you many times until you die. He cannot be killed, so what you have to do is just avoid him. You can see in this room, we hid in the corner, let him walk by, and then we just followed behind him. It was the easiest thing to do. His aggro is based on sight, so as long as he can't see you, he's not going to aggro you. Once you get a little ways in, you're going to start noticing these random beetles that spawn. They're fairly weak, don't worry about them. But otherwise, just follow behind this guy, kill the enemies as they come along. Shouldn't be anything too difficult. A couple birds, a couple tunberries, won't be anything that's going to stress your party out a whole lot. Do keep in mind that these are pretty late in the game enemies, so that tank does need to be on his stuff. If you have a mage getting hit too much, they will die pretty quickly. Also, as you saw just previous to the fish pool, the tunberries are, as the dungeon implies, the name implies, they kind of wander around. The tunberries patrol, so many dungeons have patrolling units, and if you pull the patrolling unit, you don't necessarily pull any other units in the area. So if you see a tunberry patrolling around, you can, if you carefully pull him, you can get them alone instead of having to pull multiple enemies at a time. When you get to this room, you approach the coffer. A bunch of the beetles spawn. It's not a super big deal. Those beetles are really weak. They'll die to a few AoE attacks. You do need to be careful though, because you'll see that big tunberry. He's making his rounds. He does come back. So if you're not careful, you'll get caught out. You don't want to die. It's time wasted, of course, but in the event it does happen, you can always get to where you were again. But in this case, you saw we let him go by, and we just fought our way through these guys to get past him. Then just before the first boss, you have to fight two more tunberries. Again, they're not a big deal. Just keep hate on the tank. I say that at the same time that I clearly lose hate as the tank, which is always a good sign. But kill them. Like I said, they don't have everyone's grudge. They're not going to suddenly drop your entire party. And once you get past them, you'll reach the first boss, which is just a Gubu. A singular target. You might think it's a bit underwhelming, but this Gubu is quite a, for lack of a better word, he's quite the nasty creature. And that he sneezes on you, he'll spit on you, throw snot on you, a lot of really nasty things. Fortunately, he doesn't hit too terribly hard, but he does have a couple attacks which are hate-free attacks, as in they will target whoever they want, as opposed to targeting whoever currently has hate. With that said, again, it's not a terribly hard fight. Since it's a singular target, your tank should not have any issue holding hate. And as you can see, I'm currently, it looks like I've lost hate, but again, those attacks that you see where he kind of spits at you and there's that cloud of green, just nastiness, that will target whoever the Gubu wants. But all the other attacks should stay on the tank no problem, and you'll be able to take him down pretty quickly. This is at 2x speed, just in case you're wondering. And you'll get some loot, and then you carry on in the dungeon. So after the Gubu, things will change a little bit. You will have this tunberry, who I refer to as a ninja. And once you get in here, you got some more fish. Fortunately, we had a black mage in our group here, so we were able to sleep any ads like this. And you can see we have some patrolling tunberries who I tried to back away from, but didn't back away in time, so we had to deal with them. But it wasn't a big deal. Took me a little bit to get my hate build up, but it worked out fine in the end. And again, we do have the ability to sleep ads. Now, of note, it seems tunberries cannot be slept. So if you are trying to engage a group of monsters and some tunberries jump on you, do be warned that it does appear that you can no longer sleep Tumberries, although was told that previously you were able to, so this seems to be a new addition to the game. But proceeding on, you'll have some just general trash mobs. You're not going to have anything too difficult, and then you'll start coming to these switches. You open up the first two, and then it opens up this kind of large chamber where you'll have to go around and hit a bunch of the other switches. So you'll see us go through, and we kind of took the speediest route through here. We hit a switch and we ran directly to this top one where you'll fight a couple skeletons, who you'll notice are actually called Nim skeletons. That's because this temple actually has a bit of history behind it, and that it seems to have belonged to the Nimian Empire. And interestingly enough, this entire dungeon only just appeared, and it wasn't out of thin air, but it appeared because of the calamity, the events that happened at the end of Final Fantasy XIV 1.0. And the calamity is basically just kind of ripped open the earth. Some water was shuffled around, and this building basically appeared overnight, and lo and behold, it had some inhabitants who aren't too keen on visitors. But anyways, you have to go around, you keep hitting these switches. They're not very difficult. The only thing you really have to be aware of is the large stalking Tunberry, who kind of goes around, he wanders around, again, as the dungeon's name implies, and you want to generally avoid him. As you may have seen earlier, you can run past him, but it's a risk because he hits really hard. But anyways, once you flip all the switches, the next area will open up, and you can go meet your second boss. This time it is a Flan, and thankfully it is a largely singular target battle, so again, anytime you face just a single target, it's pretty easy time. Now you will see he does summon some Flan allies, but they are extraordinarily weak. You saw them die to just a couple hits. So the tank probably doesn't even need to worry about them. If you have a black mage with you, or anyone else who can dump a bunch of AoE really quickly, then they'll die in no time at all. If you don't have any AoE abilities, try to have the tank at least grab them, but you don't need to worry too much about them overall. The main thing to be concerned about during this fight is sometimes the boss will say his eyes are set on one person. And when that happens, the boss will start chasing that person regardless of hate. It doesn't matter how good of the tank is. Right there is actually an example. He starts chasing one person. All you can do is simply run around. There's nothing anyone can do to stop him during this stage. You just have to run around until he gives up. It's usually between 5 and 10 seconds. It's a very short period. Then you can go back to hitting him. Again, he's not a very tough boss. He doesn't hit particularly hard. His allies aren't particularly tough. It's just that one mechanic you need to be careful of, because if he does catch up with you, he will inflict quite a bit of damage on that target he does catch. After that, you'll be facing a kind of a new mix of bad guys. As you can see, we got these floating ones here. Nothing to really be concerned about as long as you have your tank getting in there, getting the hate as quickly as he can. And our team, it does have a black mage, so we have sleep, which is just infinitely handy. Again, you cannot sleep the Tunberries, but you can sleep most of the other mobs, so generally you're going to have a pretty easy time. And the Tunberries usually only come at you 1 to 2 at a time, so you don't have to worry too much about getting into a situation where you're fighting 4 or 5 Tunberries. It's only ever 1 or 2. Now, during this section, though, you do have to be careful, as there will be a giant Tunberry chasing you, and you can actually see we have a bit of a disaster here. We didn't expect him to catch up with us, and then we came in this room, and I was really hoping we'd be able to kill these Tunberries quicker than we could, so we actually had to back into a corner and hide from the large Tunberry. But we had a bit of an accident, so that corner actually does work. As far as we know, we have multiple people in my party said that corner we can hide from the Tunberry there. But what happened is the summoner's Eggy, or basically the miniature version of the primal that the summoner can have, it was aggroed by the large Tunberry, and then things escalated from there. But some of us died, we warped back. The summoner actually lived, and its Eggy was able to continue fighting while the rest of us died, but it wasn't a huge deal. One little slip up. The summoner's little Eggy there causing a bit of a problem, but after that little sequence, you will be at the final boss, who I have to say, is just the most adorable thing in the world. Look at that guy. Is he not? I want a plushie of him to hug at night. That guy is the king of the Tunberries. And this fight could be a little crazy, but it shouldn't be too overwhelming. You just got to have a level head, stay calm, and you can see me cheering on the King Tunberry, because I will admit that the Tunberries, I think, are my favorite enemy in Final Fantasy series. I just absolutely adore their little kitchen knives and lamps and the shuffling walk of doom until they poke something and it dies. But anyways, you go in there, you're going to want to tank them, and it's pretty straightforward to fight for the tank. You just hold the Tunberry in roughly the center of the map, and the only mechanic you need to be aware of, and it's the most important one, is the other Tunberries and what they mean. So, every time a Tunberry spawns, he will slowly creep towards the center of the arena, like a normal Tunberry would in, say, an older Final Fantasy. When the Tunberry dies, he charges up the King Tunberries, everyone's grudge. So, say the grudge normally does 500 damage, a Tunberry dies, grudge might now do 1,000 damage. So it's that kind of, one Tunberry dies, powers up the kings. Now, it doesn't stay permanently powered up. You will see every so often it says King Tunberry's hatred has faded, and that means it has gone down, so it'll reset the grudge damage. There's two main things you can do here. You can either kill every Tunberry and try to tank through the damage, which is what I've done. I've run the dungeon twice now, and I've never once been one-shotted by the grudge, so it doesn't seem to ever do over... The highest I think I've seen is around 3.8k damage. So you can do it that way, or some people have suggested try kiting the Tunberries in circles around the king. The Tunberries don't hit particularly hard, so it's probably possible to kite them around, but I just suggest killing them. It's very easy to tank through the damage, especially if you are Marauder, because you do have those additional heals. As he gets near the end of his life, he will start spawning more and more Tunberries, but it shouldn't be a big deal because the little ones can still be dealt with. The big ones don't seem to move, so you could just finish off the king, and also at this point you could definitely just limit break. There actually goes our limit break right now, and boom, it's going to kill him almost, and we just whittle away the last little bit. But anyways, that's it. That's the end of the Wanderer's Palace. I hope you enjoyed. For more Final Fantasy, check out ign.com/wiki/FinalFantasyXIV. I thank you for watching, and we will see everyone next time.